he didn't say it how he said it, with be the digital mayor and go do these things, or at least he said this is what I would do. Well, I could tell you right now, I mean, if he wasn't who he was and he was just an agent out there doing these interviews, he probably wouldn't be getting the leads he thinks he would. Welcome back to the Agent Marketers Podcast with myself, Ryan, and Adam here. And we've got a good one for you guys today because there is a lot of debate around this very specific topic because someone very, very famous, right, told a bunch of agents to do this, and a lot of agents went and tried their hand at it and just did not work. So obviously what we're talking about is the digital mayor style, of being a marketer, right, as a real estate agent. So before we dive into, let's just kind of nail out what we're going to do here on this podcast real quick. So we're going to define what that is and our thoughts on it and things that have been tried. And then stick around to the end because we're going to give you guys some strategies that we're doing to generate leads and close deals as licensed agents. And I got actually a few deals coming up closing, which is always nice, right? So let's start with defining the digital mayor thing and how it came about. So and like we were just talking about, so Gary Vee has been on stage multiple times. And he gets asked by real estate agents who want to get better at their social media and their marketing. They're big followers of his. I love his messages. But he's telling everybody, or real estate agents in general, to go to their town or not go to it, but essentially they want to present themselves as the local celebrity. They want to be the digital mayor of sorts and be known by everybody. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there. Not just him. Now there's a lot of people that once you get one person teaching something, a few other people start sprouting out of there. But they just basically say, hey, go be the digital mayor. Go to the local restaurant and go to, get yourself out there. And it's almost like they want you to be the star of the town. They want you to be the celebrity, the prom queen here. And is that really good? The question is, really, is that going to translate to deals? I'm sure somebody out there will be like, yeah, it's just like kind of buying a billboard, right? So somebody's going to be like, hey, that guy's well known. I want to buy real estate with him. But I think there's better alternatives. I mean, we've practiced and preached it, and we've worked on that ourselves. But the question is what are some of the things that he's doing? If I just heard digital mayor for the first time, what is he teaching? What are some of these people out there teaching? And what do you know about that?
Well, essentially, along with the message, he's telling go interview local restaurant owners, your local coffee shop, your local steakhouse. Go interview the locals and the local restaurant owners. Right. And, that is content to put on your channel. And like you just talked about, right? So with that, if that's, is that the kind of content that is actually going to bring you a deal?
I mean, the way I like to always think about it is because, somebody's always going to come with a new technique, but it's kind of like if I was a buyer or if I was looking to move to a new city, if I was looking to, is that content helpful for me? Is that going to help me understand where to move to? What neighborhood? What's the housing market like? What's the vibes in each area? How is that going to help me understand where I need to move to, where I want to live, and what kind of house I want? And is it even the right time for me to buy a house? It's great that there's good, places to get hamburgers or the cool places to hang out. All that's good content. But translating it to real estate as being a really good resource and being valuable to make decisions, especially in a stressful environment, if you're relocating or buying and selling a house, I got to sell my house to buy a house. I don't know. It's just, there's too much movement going on there for me. And I just don't know if that's the value add that people are really, really looking for when it comes time to making those big decisions, right?
Right. And to me, it's like, if you're making a video about the best, 5 taco places in your area, does that bring you a deal that you made a video about? Now, could it garner some attention towards you? Absolutely. Yeah. But is that video going to be the one that brings you a lead and a deal ultimately? Yeah.
I mean, I'm over here itching to say, oh, this is what I would do because we've broken into that, right? We've broken into some of those things. And it's kind of like when people call us and they literally just call your phone. It's like, man, you are the guy because of this, this, and this, right? Everything there is to know there. They're not saying that because I just said, hey, these are the best cheeseburger places or these are the best places to go. I mean, do we touch on that stuff? Absolutely. And I don't think it's like saying never talk about it.
Yeah.
but there's really the right way to incorporate it, right? There's certain ways to incorporate that in your conversation, in your videos, or in your blogs, or in, whatever it is that you're getting that message out there in your marketing. It's not going to be that helpful to interview a restaurant, person, or to interview a local business. That's not going to help you sell homes. That's going to help you say, oh, this guy talks to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they're going to know you. Oh, okay. Yeah. We had this guy come through, some agent. He wanted to interview us. So we did it. Figured in their mind, they're like, I figured we just get more exposure. If this agent's just going to put us out there, great. But like,
Yeah.
maybe they refer a client, maybe they don't. And I feel like if he didn't say it how he said it, with be the digital mayor and go do these things, or at least he said this is what I would do. Well, I could tell you right now, I mean, if he wasn't who he was and he was just an agent out there doing these interviews, he probably wouldn't be getting the leads he thinks he would, in my opinion.
And to be fair, listen, there's people out there that door knock that are successful. There's people that work expireds and they work all those old school tactics of real estate. And to be fair, if you do something focused enough and good enough and well enough and long enough, you probably will become a little bit of a specialist in that, right? So you could be the specialist that takes over a neighborhood, but I think there's better ways to do it. And I think we've done that, right? So
yeah,
I can't kind of hold back anymore. I feel like we should just talk to the folks, right? And tell them, okay, these are some strategies you should kind of look at, because these are tried and true methods. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. And there's also ways to actually incorporate what those teachings are, because I do feel like they're not wasted. It's not wasted knowing the best steakhouses or the best places to go on a date night. I think those are smart. I mean, I just shot a video about where to live for singles and young professionals moving here, right? So yeah, that's going to be incorporated in some of that, because that's part of the vibe, but it's a bigger picture. You got to be more valuable. So Ryan, take it from there, man. Let's talk to them about some of the strategies that we do, some of the things that we like to lean into a little bit more.
Yeah. I feel like if he would have said being the digital mayor is being the local resource, which is how I honestly get that from you. That's how you always put it. That you always say, I want to be the local resource. I want to be the go-to guy that you need anything. If it is restaurants, if it is nightlife, if it is fun with the kids, like I want to be the guy that they can come to for anything and everything. Also, okay, well, where are the gated communities? Where are the better schools? Things like that. That's being the local resource. And like we just said, you're not necessarily interviewing restaurant owners or local business owners for that. You may talk about their business if it's something that you highly recommend, but you're more so being the local resource. So how do you like, I gave a lot there, but how is it that in your mind you do these things and envision that?
Yeah. So right off the bat, I mean, when you told me, so kind of rewinding here in my business, you were like, hey, Adam, I'm going to help you make a website, right? And I was like, awesome. I went into it right away saying, I need to give value to somebody. I don't want to be the number one realtor. I don't want to market that I'm number one realtor in Tampa, or this is what my team accolades are, the trophies. I wanted to come from a place of value. And I said, man, it would be really cool knowing the clientele that we're attracting right now, are people relocating here, or just people looking for, new construction homes. I mean, just so many different categories that you can put everything in. But I said, to understand the map of Tampa, to understand geography and where everything is, here's the suburbs, here's city living, what's the different like, and then start breaking it down even further into neighborhoods. I just really felt like that was a ton of value, so that when somebody comes to my website or they come anywhere else, they're not even searching for homes. I don't have an IDX on my website. And you even kind of mentioned that. You're like, people have Zillow nowadays, man. They have MLS feeds that you can do custom searches, which is old school real estate. You were like, that's a really good idea by breaking everything down on the map. Yeah. So now to take it even further, right? You started telling me about the blogs and how to do everything else. Anyway, we created these area pages that if I had to put a template to it in a way, it would be things to do, the best neighborhoods, the schools in case you have kiddos, how far in proximity to things like the downtown or the airport, if that's important to you, the beaches that are, popular here in Tampa. And so we really started to like massage that in and get a template for each area. And now if someone's like, hey, I'm coming into town, what areas match my lifestyle? I'm like, well, go through all these, figure it out, or we'll tell them, hey, we're narrowed down to 3. use these as a guide, as a local guide, to go and figure out where you want to live. And by the way, here's a couple other options for things to do in the city. Here's events and attractions. And then, and that's just a website, right? So now we start to show all that in video. Now that you have the template and what works, now it's really good to like put it on video. And we've done that in a million different ways, like you've done it not only Vegas, Hawaii. I mean, you've kind of showcased a lot of different versions of that, but it still works. The template still works no matter how different the cities or states are. So I don't know. We've gotten a ton of great feedback by just the basic content, and then piggybacking off of that, really getting out there and showing it. And then when you start to show it, there's so many different ways to show it,
Yep.
From your point of view, storytelling, and what I mean by your point of view is kind of like vlogging style, going out there and showcasing it from behind the camera, explaining the vibe. I do think if I had to go back to what you said with Digital Mayor, though, I've done this in a few things. I've done it on Instagram. I've done it on YouTube. Is as part of that area, as part of that vibe, right? Like I talk about this little West Tampa, right? This little area in Tampa that has an old history of Hispanic and this and that, and all those little old coffee shops where you go in there and get fresh toast and coffee in the morning. All the old timers of Tampa like to play dominoes in there, play cards, and they get there every day. And I'm talking judges, lawyers, all the way to fishing captains, and they get in there, and it's pretty cool to get in that mix for just a very small clip to say, hey, I am here in the cafe, or I am in here with these guys and I'm mixing it up. And that's part of your overall video, saying, I'm not just telling you about it. I'm showing you that I'm in the mix. I'm here. I'm looking at these houses in the neighborhoods. I'm looking at the coffee shops. I'm your local resource. But it's definitely not just, hey, these are the best 10 restaurants, or let me go and interview a local business. I mean, I think that's great. I love local businesses, but I don't think that's not going to be your path to success in real estate.
It's not efficient with the use of time. It's really not.
Right.
Not at all. I mean, like I said, if I'm eating at a place, like even if I made a video in a restaurant that I liked, my best place to go get it, whatever it might be, even if I was sitting in there recording that video, I'm still not necessarily, I'm maybe for like a brief clip, maybe, right? But I've still never even done this. This is in my mind. Like if I were doing this, I may consider having a manager or even the owner come. But at the same time, my mindset is that's not, having them on the video is cool and is good business for them, but time efficiency, if I'm recording in that restaurant and I'm eating or I'm showcasing what I'm eating, whatever that might be, cool, I'm talking about is this is one of my favorite spots. Here's why, whether it can be the proximity to this, obviously the food, this and that. So we're talking about the location of things again, and being the resource of like, so I get it all the time. People are like, Ryan, I'm in Hawaii for the week. We're looking at homes, but I'd love to take my wife out to a very nice dinner in downtown Waikiki. What can you recommend? Again, that goes back to being the local resource. And I'm like, dude, Duke's Waikiki, go there, get there a little early, but you want to be there for the sunset at this time of the year. Sun's gonna set around 6:30. You're gonna love it. Trust me. Go out on the water, take a cocktail out. It's awesome. That's just being a local resource for somebody versus. Like I said, I'm not going to Duke's and trying to get that owner on a video.
Well, I'll tell you, it just popped in my mind as we're talking this, because you started touching on it, but it just popped in maybe my mind a different way. When I'm actually shooting content in a video, in a cafe or restaurant or something similar to that, it's funny the way that you can, form the content to what you're doing. So my mission when I'm going into something like that is to showcase locals, gathering, and this is a place to gather and break bread and have coffee, and it's really networking and meeting other people, right? All in one bunch. So I've actually put a restaurant owner, because I've known this guy for years, right? And it was, again, small cafe, 30 people in there. Part of it is B-roll, and if you're not familiar with what B-roll is, it's basically it's footage that is helping you tell your story. So it's me, stirring a coffee and sitting down with one of the guys, and it might be 3 or 4 seconds. Then I am putting a microphone on the owner or a server or one of the guys that are in the restaurant. It's like, why do you guys gather here? And he's like, oh man, this is just old family tradition, old Tampa traditions where we get to meet in the morning, and we meet some of the most prominent people in all of Tampa right here. We break bread with them, and we talk about politics. We talk about the things that are going on. So it's funny, like how it starts to take that turn. It's like, oh, well, this is explaining the vibe of an area and what locals do and what this does. It's not promoting a restaurant at all. It's part of it saying, man, this is why you come here, because of this.
It's the yeah, exactly. If you want to be in this type of environment, I'm showing you that, right? If this is something you want to be around and you want to come to regularly, you may want to consider living in this area because this is right here, and here's what happens on a regular basis, right? Like you said, the old timers coming out playing dominoes, just shooting it and just hanging out, right?
Yeah. Well, part of it is you're always, whenever you're shooting content too, right? And trying to be that local resource, you're always gathering data from the people that you help move here, and you're using the questions that they have, you're answering it and putting it back as a resource for the next people, right?
Yep.
So it's like when I'm shooting video of the same thing we're just talking about right now, right? What could it possibly answer? What could be, I'm moving there and I don't know how to meet people. Is it easy to meet people? Is it, how's the professional networking? How is, are there places to eat? I mean, there's so many questions that just answered for people that they're like, wow, is it diverse? Well, yeah, we were just in a place that was like Latin people and then this person, all kind of different backgrounds. And then there's, it's not just like Burger King. It's like, wow, there's some little local cafes. It's not all chain restaurants. I mean, it just answered so many questions by showing that for just a little bit. But again, that's just a piece of the puzzle when it comes to putting out some content. You're not highlighting a restaurant. You're highlighting the vibe and the area and everything else. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that if you went into it the first way, where it's like, hey, talk to me about your local, restaurant. How long have you been here? And what are your specials? And why do people like coming to eat? I don't know. It's just, to me, becoming that digital mayor, really, you're just interviewing people or being like a different version there, man.
Like I said, if he would have defined it that way, which plugged it into every real estate agent's brain, then I don't think it would be perceived as the way it is. But if he would have said, like I was saying, if he would have said, you know what, be the local resource, be that go-to person for everything, the vibe of an area, the culture of an area, what's it like to be in an area? What are the amenities in an area? What's the shopping like in an area? What are the things in an area that somebody is considering living and buying a house? What are the things that might mean the most to them or check their boxes? What is that? Is it gated communities? I only want when we moved, my wife's like, I only want to live in a gated community. All right. Whether it's false sense of security or not, doesn't matter. That's just what she wanted. That was for her comfort. So that kind of narrowed down places that we were looking. Right. So what are those things in those areas? And it's the people, it's the places, it's all those things, not just like we said, what's the most efficient use of time? It's not interviewing the owner of that cafe. It's just not. And I hope their business does well. Like I said, I'm not trying to knock it. But when we're talking about strategy for real estate marketing, interviewing them is not time efficient and it's not business efficient. It's just not. And they probably already know 15 realtors too anyway, right? Like
yeah, and to be fair, when you do, on the flip side, when you do bring some of those aspects into your video, I do think it helps finish the video and it helps showcase that, you are the digital mayor, but not in the mayor sense where you're winning a popularity contest. You are becoming a resource. I feel like it just connects it. And it's like, man, that guy has boots on the ground. That's about the best part that you get from it.
Yep.
And I do think that really connects it because people believe you because you're believable and you're actually going there and showcasing the local stuff. And again, just, all around resource, man. And I definitely think that's the way to go. That's part of that living in method, right?
Exactly what I was about to get to. So we wanted to make sure we give you guys some strategies and not just keep beating the dead horse about this digital mayor thing. It's kind of just eats at me anyway, but just because I hear it and then I get people that come into the coaching program and stuff and then they're just like, I look at their channel and we're looking at somebody else's channel or their competitors, I suppose, in an area. And then I see it and I say, oh my God, I was on a coaching call yesterday and we were looking at it and it's just like, oh, this is, you don't even have to worry about them. I'm telling you right now, that's not competition because I can see exactly what they're doing. But methods that we have used, especially on YouTube, is the living in channel method. All right. And we've also done the home tours method. All right. So those two methods, the home tours method more so showcases a home And we also include the local area, right? Because we always tell people for the home tours method, especially, it's yes, you may love the home that you just saw, looks great, it's a model home, had a nice design. Now, what is the area like? Does the area check your boxes? Because that home could be the perfect home, but it's not in the right place for you. Because, like you said, some people may need to be close to the airport. Some people need to be close to a hospital. Some people need to be close to a school, whatever that is. So the home and then the area, the living in method, like we talked about, is what's it like living in this area? I'm the local expert. I have all the local information. I am the local expert. Talk to me about your strategy on, huh?
Well, I was going to say local expert too, to clarify that it's not digital mayor.
Nah, yeah.
It's answering very specific questions by being a local resource, right? Like why to live here, where to live, proximity to things, things to do, on and on. What's the vibe, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah.
100%.
Where were you leading?
And even going back to the living in method, right? And I work with a lot of military, and like me coming from that, I know what a lot of them are looking for. And so like one of the first questions we always ask them, because it's a big thing for military, is proximity to work. All right. Because got to be at work, PT, things like that, 6 a.m. They want to come home for lunch. Maybe they got to let the dog out, things like that. A lot of military like being, within 10 to 15 minutes of work. Some are cool with 30, not going home for lunch, but a big thing with them. So what am I? I am their local resource, right? I want to live 15 minutes from base. All right, boom. Here's a couple areas that we definitely got to check out and see what, if that fits in, your lifestyle. So, what were you asking me?
Yeah, I think you were headed into, you said the few things and how do you incorporate stuff, man. I think you started saying something about Instagram.
I was going to ask you, or to tell everybody kind of your Instagram strategy and how you've got your Instagram pushing out to a lot of people right now.
Yeah, it's definitely riding a wave right now. It's on the up and up. First off, everything here that we talk about and do is organic, right? So it's always organic. We're not paying for leads, paying for likes, or paying for anything else. It has to go out to an audience that likes our stuff, that we relate to, and then going from there. So, this is years after I've done YouTube and understand what people are looking for. And I kind of broke down that strategy into like categories or templates that I wanted to put onto Instagram. So quick version of that, not to get too deep into it, is, a mix of reels. I'm basically posting something almost every day. And that's going to go with, sometimes it's things that are nearby Tampa. Sometimes it's, maybe a home tour or a neighborhood tour that I got from my YouTube, right? And I repurpose into a smaller reel, 30-second reel or something that showcases a neighborhood, right? Then I like to grab articles like headlines, news, local news. And maybe it's, I know it could be something as silly as Chick-fil-A started delivering by drone, or it could be, which is like, that's something like kind of fun and gimmicky in Tampa. Or it could be, about Tampa's ultra luxury real estate market, right? We just had, what was it? Derek Jeter built a house here in one of our areas. And it was like, I think 2022 it sold. Tom Brady lived in it when he played for the Bucks here and he rented. They just sold, and it was a 22,000 square foot house built in 2016, I believe. And they bought it, knocked it down to build a 30,000 square foot house, right? So that's a really cool article. It's like, holy smokes, what are these people thinking? And I was like, I got to talk about that. That's like breaking news. So usually those articles, I like to talk about the article once or twice a week, right? So if I've got 2 of those articles a week that I'm talking about, maybe something.
I was just about to ask you this, like, what is your kind of ratio for that kind of stuff too? So no, sorry, I didn't. But I was just about to ask you that, like, okay, because we talked about videos that aren't time efficient but could garner attention. Yep. So sorry, so it's about 2 or 3 videos that are just articles in the news, something going on.
Yes, because with Instagram, and again, not trying to go too deep. Sometimes it's like short, grabby stuff that's flashy. That might be a 6 to 10 second reel, quick, and then it might be an article that might, listen. I know people are like, oh, stay under 30 seconds, stay under 45 seconds. I just had a reel that went. I think it was like 300,000 views, something crazy like that. And it was 90 seconds is your max for a reel. It was 87 seconds. And I wasn't even trying to get there. It's because I went overboard and then I had to cut it down because it was such good information. I think it was like top 10 neighborhoods or something like that. And so people really liked it. And what I did was I showcased 3 of the neighborhoods. And then I was like, hey, check the caption below for the other 7. And that allows people to, again, I'm giving them good information. The other thing I like to do is, again, I'm just being a local resource, is once a week. I think it's usually on Thursdays right before the weekend. It's like, here's the Tampa things to do. And I'll just put the top attractions, like, hey, there's a Lightning game, hockey. There's a concert. There's this, there's that. And it's just, you get that repeat client because they like to understand what's going on. And I'm really showcasing a little bit about people that are thinking of moving here. They're interested in the new developments. They're interested in some, local news. What's going on? What's the vibe? Holy crap. It's February and they've got concerts. They've got festivals going on. I want to move to Tampa because I'm snowed in up here in Chicago, right? And so I'm giving them the information they want. However, it's Instagram, so it's a little bit of a different strategy. However, it's still on brand with Tampa, Florida living, right? The lifestyle in Tampa, what it's like living here. By the way, guys, here's a little tidbit of real estate. That's what we do. Call us in every single post. So yeah, you get your Instagram and then you get people. It's Instagram for me is about getting exposure, staying within the brand. And then they call me from YouTube, which is really the educational piece of Tampa. And you get a little bit more time to explain it, right? And again, going on brand with the living in method. So a little bit of everything. And you could start seeing the DMs coming in and they're like, oh, we love your channel. And I'm like, which one, right? Because we're spread out. They're like, oh, your YouTube stuff. And so it's kind of neat to see all that, just gelling and working together. Because not a lot of people teach how to be on brand across multiple platforms.
Yeah.
And that's super important because it's almost like they feed each other and they like kind of put all of your business on steroids. You become like this media station, right? You become a media company that sells real estate. Essentially, you're better than a digital mayor, right?
No, yeah, 100%. That, I mean, and like with the growth of your Instagram too, like you said, that with the link in your profile and stuff like that, you definitely are pulling Instagram's audience into the YouTube world. But I did want to ask you, so depending on the style of channel on YouTube, on any platform, but with Instagram, do you feel like you're touching a big portion of it is a local audience?
So I've had both. I mean, that's a good question. I've had both. I've had a lot of people kind of, you don't know what to expect. A lot of stuff is trial and error and you put it out there. But I did a lot of studying. I didn't just, hey, let me just start Instagram, right? I researched this for months and figured out what worked, what didn't work before even going. And then you do little tweaks because you have a strategy and a plan. But it wasn't just throwing something against the wall to see what sticks. But we absolutely have a lot of people from Tampa. It's crazy how many people that are, and I only know that because when you click on, I just randomly check every so often, and you check like, oh, who's this person? And it was like, I'm a interior designer or decorator in Tampa, right? Then it's like, oh, so-and-so mom group Tampa. So all of a sudden I am reaching a local crowd, but then I do get a little bit of the spillover from YouTube because you've built a brand and they know the name. And so now you're also getting those people that are like, oh, I moved there. He helped me with this buy in this community. That's awesome, And so it's feeding the way I set it up, I'm feeding 2 different crowds, those that are relocating here and then those that are already here and they want to know about the stuff and they want to know like, wow, this guy knows his stuff. This guy knows his communities. He knows the things to do. He's updating this on a live version. He's commenting on active events, here's what's going on in real estate. Here's ultra luxury market. Like whatever those articles are, I'm being very purposeful about grabbing them. I'm not, that example that I used about Chick-fil-A drone, that's a little gimmicky and I rarely do those. It's usually good information. So
yeah, that and like Derek Jeter's house. You're not putting that on your YouTube channel necessarily. It might be something you mention in a video, but you're not making an entire video about like Derek Jeter's house. Like it's not, there's no point unless you get to go tour it.
No. To be fair, I actually piggybacked on that and I made a video. I just shot it. It was where do the wealthy live in Tampa? And I used that because I was already digging that up from that article. Now I had resources and people were asking me, well, where are the pocket neighborhoods? So now all of a sudden I'm going back and showcasing. And I did use that story as one of like 50 examples of like, hey, this is a house. I mean, check this out. They're knocking down these houses to put up bigger ones. And so, yeah, you can reuse it, but you're not going to make an entire video about Derek Jeter's house getting knocked.
And that title, though, where the wealthy live kind of thing, it's like tapping into a luxury market. You're tapping into the luxury market essentially with that, right? And showcasing homes in that price range. So very cool. So you guys, again, the digital mayor thing, if you want to take it from us, be the local resource. Be the local resource as best as you can be. There's a lot of different strategies with that. So local resource is the way to go. YouTube, Instagram, like we said, no matter what, location information is really what's winning on any of these platforms, because that's essentially what people are looking for. You got to remove yourself from it, right? People, you're not Barbara Corcoran, you're not Ryan. People aren't necessarily looking for you. All right. You got to remove yourself from it and understand what they're actually looking for and what's going to garner the attention, which is more so the information about these cities. So with that, guys, we got tons more. We got tutorials on this channel, more podcasts to help you grow your real estate business. Again, I'm Ryan, and this is Adam with the Agent Marketers Podcast. Check those videos out right now.